next is the demo. So I'm just going to go ahead and open my Sage here. And again, just hold your questions till the end. I know you'll probably have some features you want to ask more about or see more. Hold them till the end, and I can certainly answer those for you. But I'm just going to start actually in customer maintenance. And I want to point out that the receivable side and the payable side really do mirror each other. So they're going to work and operate the same way in your Sage 100. So just know if, hey, I want this for accounts payable, it's going to look the same on the vendor side as well as the customer side. So don't worry about that. But I'm just going to hop into a customer. And so with InstaDocs installed, you'll just know that there's just a new tab 9. And this is where it's going to store your documents, everything related to your customer. I will hop into sales order here in a little bit, and you'll see those individual orders and invoices and how documents are stored that way. But this is the customer. This is the end all be all of your documents related for this customer. So I'll just start at the top. Here's your document directory. So for most clients, that's their network path, or again, their OneDrive that they have set up for those documents to be stored. The views, so you're same as your File Explorer views. You can have details, icons, that sort of stuff. The only place I would recommend like the large icons or something like that is if you're using InstaDocs and inventory, because then you can see if you have pictures of your inventory or that sort of thing, those do display. So if you have the icon set, then you can see those pictures quickly. Just moving down, some of the other features down here on this button, this little like gear, we call it a magic wand at DSD, but this is your tagging source. So you can see that this document was tagged in sales order with order number 184, and you can also see that it was tagged in invoice and the invoice number as well. You can see the user and the date and time that it was created as well. If I had any additional comments that I want to add later, I could do so. You could have template tags. It's also a free text field, so you can just go ahead and type anything you would want in here if you needed to reference it later. I personally like the templates just so no one's fat fingering anything or something doesn't get lost just because you typed it wrong or whatnot, but you can certainly type things in as well. The next is that search capability. So right off the bat, this will search just the customer I have open. If I have it search all directories, then it will search everything. But if I just go in here and do Ashley tag that I just did, it's just going to pull up that one document that I just quickly tagged. Again, here, it's a double click. You can open it. You get right to the document. This little refresh is, I would say, mostly if you keep your window open, you can give it a quick refresh, or if you're dragging and moving a lot of documents from your OneDrive, your cloud storage, sometimes it might need that. I would say most of the time it's going to update and you're going to be on your way. The other thing that I love showing off, because this is the best feature, you can grab multiple documents, one document, but to add things, it's just a simple drag and drop. And those two documents that I just moved are now in your customer file. So it's really easy to add documents, move documents. Again, you can copy right out of here. You can just go ahead and straight create an email from here with that document. So again, ease of use within your Sage 100 is awesome. So that's customer maintenance. I'm going to hop to the sales order. Actually, let's go to the setup menu really quick so we can see some of those options before I go through a process. So again, you can enable that security. Here's my default path I have set up. And then down here is actually the convention for the naming of the document directory. So right now I have it set as customer number and customer name. Whatever convention fits your company is best for you, you can select that. And then here's how the naming convention of the documents that get saved under there. So you'll want to turn it on for your paper list and then the naming convention. So I have the most detail I can possibly get out of the naming convention. Again, whatever works for you guys. And then again, for statement printing as well. The next is the default view. I like the details. Again, besides for inventory, if you have pictures, I would use the icons. You're going to want to enable it in your data entry. this auto create PDF, I'll leave the prompt on so for demo purposes you guys can see it, but I would say most people are saying yes here, so you don't get the prompt, but it creates the PDFs for your InstaDocs for you. There's a generate one email per customer invoice batch feature. If you guys want to, I can touch on this a little bit. It is by customer, so you have to turn it on by customer. It doesn't automatically happen for everyone. And then the next is the reserve word tag. So if you turn this on, this one will make a little more sense when I hop into sales order and email some stuff out. But what this does is you have to use that reserved word tag, and those documents with the email tag will get emailed out. The rest will not. They'll stay within your Sage and not get emailed out. Again, that one will make sense here in a second. The next one, you'll want to turn on your tagging of documents so those auto tagging capabilities happen. And then here's where you can set up all of your templates that you would possibly use for your company. Again, it's a free text field. You can use that as well. But the best part is just going and doing an actual entry. So I will show that off. Just grab some lines here. And then again, you're in your sales order entry, and then all you see is the new tab 6. So here you won't see anything. So you can, and again, it's any type of document. So if you want to drag like email communications that you have with the customer related to this order, or say they order a kit and you have a brochure you send with a kit every time they order, you can drag and drop it here. And then this attached documents to email delivery is what I was talking about. So if you turn this on, these documents within your InstaDocs tab will get emailed out. Now I have that reserved word tag on, so I'm just going to tag actually my PDF one with email to make it easy when it comes through. So, and again, to point out why I'm in the auto tagging, it did it with order 207. So it automatically happened. You didn't have to worry about that with those documents. So I'm just going to go ahead and print this order. If I can get a sales tax. I'm going to email it, and then I'm going to get that pop-up that I was saying that I left turned on, and I'll show you what that does when I say yes. So it says, do you want to print sales orders in PDF format to InstaDocs? I'm going to say yes. So if I go back into my order 207 and go under my InstaDocs tab, my order is now saved with my PDF. So it stays right under your InstaDocs tab for you. So again, all these documents are together, and these are now going to flow through to the invoice. So I will show you that as well. That's 207. Then tab 6, you see that all of these, again, flow through down to my invoice level. Again, you have the option to email it out. There's companies that email it out at the sales order level, and then they don't email it at the invoice level. There's companies that do both, so they get their order and their invoice on the email the second time they get it. Up to you guys and how your processes would want to work. I'll put it on. Again, it's only going to email out those documents that have the email tag on them. So if I wanted my order to go again, and it's just because I have that feature turned on, you can certainly turn it off and it will send everything under the InstaDocs tab. Again, it's just a feature to limit what you would want the end user, the customer, to see. So I will print this one as well. And while we're waiting on that to go through, I'll open up my email. So you can see it's just a standard paperless email. I'll say yes to that pop-up again so you guys can see it, the full picture together. But it had the order and the PDF that I had that I wanted to email out. That I'm going to hop back into the invoice so you guys can see that. So now we have the full picture. We have the order, we have the invoice, and then we have the 2 documents that I added. So everything lives under your invoice now that's related to that document. The one thing I want to point out that's really nice, so if you're in sales order history or anything like that, you can pull up that order 207 and say after the fact you have some email communications that there is something wrong with the order, you would want to add to it in case they ever come back and ask questions. You could drag and drop it even at that point. Even in being in history, you can still add to your InstaDocs tab. So that's really nice as well. Even though it's in history, you can still add to that.
Actually, I know you wanted questions.
Go ahead.
Break rule there a little bit. When you're attaching documents, what is not allowed to attach? I mean, is it PDFs or can it be emails from Outlook? Do you have to print those or can it be the email itself? What types of files can be attached to that?
Yeah, anything. I mean, I have people that, again, they're doing pictures. If I have, see if I have, I mean, really anything. I mean, I've got videos here. I don't know if you would want to do something that big, but I have like email communications, like, so I can drag, you can see it's just saved here.
Yeah.
Excel files. I mean, anything that you can currently save in File Explorer, it will go into Sage as well.
So that's good to know because it's, I mean, certainly by saying InstaDocs, it feels like it's a document only, but it's really any file that you want to attach to the record. So if you have schematics, you have email communications, you have a contract, you can put those on the order and they're going to flow through to the invoice and be tagged to locate in the future.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I know we've got mechanical companies that use it and they have reports or things that they've done in testing that they want to go along, like, hey, it met standards or whatever. Yeah, anything, no matter what document type that's spitting out, you can add to it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. And then lastly, I have the invoice that came through. So again, you get the full picture. I have the invoice, I have the sales order, and then I still had that PDF that I had with the email tag. So again, at the invoice stage, then they get the full picture of all of those documents coming through to them. And then I'll touch on that other feature, the one invoice per customer email batch. So you would have to turn it on by customer. There's a new little checkbox, and then you also have to be using batches when you invoice out. So if you have batches turned on, you can then send 1 email per invoice batch. And I know this is huge for people that have a lot of orders and invoices for the same company going out in the same day, and a lot of companies complain like, I don't want 10 individual emails, can you just give me one that has all my invoices on it? So this feature is huge too. I know a lot of people utilize that, so their end customers are only getting 1 email with all of their invoices attached. So I did want to point that out. I know a lot of people like that feature as well. That was the receivable side. I'm going to touch on the payables a little bit, mostly in purchase order actually. And if you have any questions here after this, let me know. But so purchase order, just from a company process standpoint, is a little different because you don't necessarily have the documents in your system. You're probably scanning in packing slips and invoices that you would then need to drag and drop and attach to your associated documents. So I'll kind of show you what that kind of looks like. So I created a purchase order. I'm going to go ahead and go into receipt of goods and grab that purchase order. I'll also invoice it just so we're just doing a one step here. But so on your InstaDocs tab, when you're doing on the purchasing side, I like to tell people I can get to my documents. That most people probably have like a scans folder on their desktop or somewhere that their scanner's coming in and those documents are going to. So you're probably going to have that folder open, and here's where you would drag and drop those scans into your related receipt and invoice. So you would have the packing slip and the invoice or whatever you're scanning in that's related to this document that you'll scan in. Then you'll grab it and you'll drag it and drop it into your receipt of goods and into your invoice. So then all of those documents can be all saved together. So I'll just go ahead and grab one here. So we have one. So let's just pretend that this was the packing slip or the invoice that was related to this purchase order. So you're most likely probably scanning that in and then dragging and dropping it over to your purchase order. Because on the purchasing side, you don't have those documents in your system. Those are coming from outside of your system. So I like to point that out. And then again, it's going to auto tag it, everything. I'm sorry, I've used this document in multiple places in my demo, so that's why it's showing a ton. But you can see that it has my receipt of goods, the date and time created, all of that good stuff. You can add additional comments as well. I mentioned before, these are in data files in Sage, so you can write custom crystal reports off of it if you do have good super users at your company that know how to do that. The information is there for you guys to do so. The last thing I want to point out before I open to questions is what modules you have to get that are required. So the only thing that's required is if you get accounts receivable or and sales order, those come hand in hand. You can have accounts receivable without sales order, but if you want the sales order InstaDocs, you have to have accounts receivable, kind of like the way Sage works, like you have to have everything set up under the customer in order to have the sales order module. So those two go hand in hand. And then it would be the same thing on the purchasing side. It would be accounts payable and purchase order go together as well. So those two would need, you can have accounts payable, but if you need purchase order, you have to have accounts payable. Hopefully that made sense to everyone. Other than that, you can have individual modules. So you could get it for your accounts receivable side of things and use it for a year and say, hey, this is great. We find the need to now use it in our accounts payable. You can just purchase more modules. It's not a, you have to get everything at once type of thing. They'll work later on and you can add modules down the road if you see the need for your company as well. So that's great too. If you find, hey, this is working on our receivable side and we want it on our purchasing side, you can always add it down the road. I think that's it, Jeremy. So if there's any questions, you can give them to me. Oh, I think you're muted.
Good point. Thank you. I have a cold, so I was trying to save everybody. So the one thing that we talked about when you and I talked earlier is as files build up and archiving documents, is that something that's available or coming out, or what's the status of as the file folders get large and things get outdated? You know, how do they manage that?
Yeah. So I mean, right off the bat, we have customers, I mean, they have tons of documents, and up until this point, speed hasn't been an issue, but I know as they can continue to grow that it is a possibility, and they don't want to muddy their waters with a ton of documents either anyway, even if speed wasn't an issue. So yes, we do have a document archive solution coming out actually in the 7.10 version. We've talked about downgrading it to probably 6.0 version of Sage 100. So if you're on an older version, you still would be able to get that archiving solution. We would just have to downgrade it to what version you're on. Might take a little bit. But yes, it's coming out in the 7.0 version. I've tested it. It's awesome. Super easy to move documents. And actually, we're still giving you the ability to see archive documents. So there'll be a drop down where you can select like your archive directory instead of your current. So you can still get to those documents within your Sage 100, which is really cool. I know most archives, if you just archived it, it would be in some other location, but we're going to let you be able to still get to it, which I think is awesome. It's just in another archived directory within your Sage 100. So that's really cool. So look for that archive feature coming out.
Got it. And then I guess the food for thought for me, when you look at the installs that you have and people that are using it, are there one or two real kind of key areas that you see value out of the system right away? I can see it right away in the customer invoice when you have those outside documents like contracts or testing results and things of that nature that really follow along. But do you see one or a couple areas that really kind of ring true to the value?
Yeah, I love the paperless office feature. The one email per customer batch. I honestly love everything about InstaDocs personally. I think if you're a customer that needs a document management solution and you don't want to pay that big ticket price that a lot of document management solutions come with, I think InstaDocs is a great option for Sage 100 users that don't maybe want to take that huge ticket step price. But yes, those features are my favorite, probably the paperless. What else do I like?
Is there a particular module that really stands out in your mind?
It depends on your customer needs. If they're invoicing out of accounts receivable, that's great for them. If they're a big purchasing, the purchase order module is good. It really depends on what the client needs and what their business looks like. If you're a warranty servicing and you have a service center, I mean, service center has InstaDocs, and I know saving documents for things you've serviced is huge for a lot of people too. I mean, getting that history and all that sort of stuff for those documents that you're working warranties on. So that's big for a lot of our clients as well. So it really just depends on what your company needs. I do love the sales order side of InstaDocs, I think. But that's just what I work with probably the most. But I think everything is awesome.
Yeah, it seems powerful to be able to attach different file types to a record within Sage and have that instant access. I mean, the AP side rings true to me from the standpoint of a receipt or an invoice that you get in the mail or get via email and attaching that to the receipt of goods and kind of keeping that AP vouching system in place. So it's great there. Just on the first glance, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's what a lot of people on the payable side are doing. Yeah. I would say most people have their AP at DSD Inc. email or whatever, so then they can grab those documents and just pull them over as they're entering them into their Sage 100. And like you said, have that full picture. So you're not printing or you're not putting it in a file location that if you did need a reference later, like, shoot, where did I put that invoice from DSD? It would just be in your Sage 100.
Yeah, rather than keeping an inbox of 20,000 unread emails, you can file the documents away, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, great.